Ambassador KP Fabian, who's a former Indian secretary as well. Thank you for speaking to NewsX and giving us your time at this very moment, sir. In fact, a lot of center stage of the controversy between India and Canada has caught the headlines, and what remains to be concerning is how the Indian diaspora, and especially the larger Indian community including Sikhs and other people from India, are actually taking these developments. There is in fact worry, there is in fact a lot of tensions as the ties between both the nations have escalated. What exactly is your understanding of the current status of this entire controversy that has broken out, especially after last year, when the ties in fact started to get tainted?
Good. Thank you. Good to be with you, and through you with your hundreds of thousands of viewers and listeners. Now, actually, you asked two questions. One is that the likely impact on the community, and then you asked a deeper question. I mean, what is happening and why is it happening? Let me start with the first question, the community. Well, as far as the community is concerned, I do not at this moment see any particular harm coming to them from the Canadian government or the white Canadian community. Because, our people, when I was there, that was 82, 85, and even now, they hold high positions in the bureaucracy, in the academia, and elsewhere, doctors and others. So, I don't expect any harm to come to them from the white Canadians or from the government of Canada. But there is a risk that the extremist Khalistanis might get emboldened if the current crisis continues or gets worse, and they might resort to violence. As we know, there are about 180 or more temples in Canada. Now, even with the best will in the world, the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, cannot protect all the 180 temples. So if there are one or two or more determined extremist Khalistanis resorting to violence, well, then there will be incidents. Now, the last point, as far as the community is concerned, is that thousands of our youngsters in India, and some of them already in Canada, nursing the Canadian dream, that is, go and study in Canada, get a job, and have a good life. Now, that dream, I'm afraid, it has become rather distant. So these are the three important points about the community. Now, coming to why we are where we are, two things. One is that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau seems to have a particular interest in maintaining a policy which is not meant to improve relations with India, but even recklessly, sort of spoil those relations. Now, why does he want to do that? Is it because he has anything against us? I do not know, but I doubt it. I think he is convinced, and I personally think he's wrong. I think he is convinced that by pursuing such a policy, he can retain the support of the Sikhs who are politically active in Canada. You know that the leader of the NDP, New Democratic Party, a Sikh, had been supporting Prime Minister Trudeau because his is a minority government. And that leader, NDP, is openly Khalistani, and so in order to buy his support, Trudeau had, made that statement on the 18th of September 2023, and he said, I'm quoting his words, credible allegations, quote unquote, about the involvement of Indian agents in the killing of Nija. Now, a few minutes after he made that statement, his foreign minister said that the RCMP is conducting an investigation. Now, my question to you and through you to Prime Minister Trudeau is, well, if an investigation is on, why can't you wait for that investigation to be completed, or at least for an interim report? do you have to jump the gun? But he did jump the gun, you see. But on the other hand, I should also point out from open sources, Indian MEA says that since Prime Minister Trudeau raised the matter with Prime Minister Modi in the context of G20, which is held in India, Canada has not given any evidence. Now, I have heard from CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, Canadian intelligence people saying that the NSA of Canada and some other officers were in India before the G20 and they had a conversation with their Indian counterparts and that they had given the evidence. So to say that India, they have not given any evidence after Prime Minister Trudeau raised it with Prime Minister Modi might be correct, but it doesn't follow that they had not given any evidence before that. So, the versions we get from both sides, they contradict each other and the global citizen is left in doubt.
So, Mr. Fabian, now the important question at this point is, and one of the most crucial things to in fact put it on the table and discuss is, now who is going to take the interest of the Indian community in focus at this point of time? Should the Indian government reach out to especially the Canadian government in this regard, or there should not be any sort of escalation on this regard? Is there expectation which is necessary at this point of time, is what my first part of the question is. And the second, how exactly the Canadian government should also be afraid of taking these steps and giving out these statements and a tit for tat moment? Isn't this as you have mentioned, jumping the gun going to be in fact disadvantageous for the Trudeau government as well?
Well, that is my impression, but Trudeau, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has other views. But let me make one more point, and that is that a few days ago I was interviewed on one of the channels. That was about an interview given by a Canadian minister, not by the foreign minister, saying that Canada attaches importance to relations with India and India is one. There is no question of anyone threatening India's territorial integrity. Now, my reckoning is that was meant to fool us, that there was a change of mind on their part. And second point I want to make is that we summoned, MEA summoned the Canadian Acting High Commissioner on Monday after office hours. It was 7 or 7:30 p.m. And earlier MEA had said that it had received the previous day, that is on Sunday, an intimation from Canadian government that our High Commissioner and a few other diplomats were persons of, interest to be investigated in the matter. Then, of course, it was announced by MEA that we have expelled, or decided to expel rather, the Acting High Commissioner and 5 others or 6 others, whatever that. But the Canadian version is different, and it has come in the Washington Post that it was Canada that first expelled and that India expelled later. Another thing is that the Canadian Foreign Minister said that she had, Joy, that's her name, that they had asked India to lift the diplomatic immunity of our High Commissioner and others so that the matter can proceed. Now, this again shows, what shall I say, a desire to escalate matters, because what they should have done, if they had good reason, was telling us, listen, we have this, why don't you quietly transfer the High Commissioner? After all, he can be transferred back as secretary here. People get transferred. In other words, Canadian government has taken a decision to escalate. And also, I'm afraid, Indian government also seems to be not interested in de-escalating. You know something, a war can start if only one party wants it. Because if A attacks B, B has to respond. But peace can be there between them only when both A and B want ceasefire or peace.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.